Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to a not 2 in the morning edition of the Missing Wolves post-game podcast live stream thing. I'm your host, Andrew Dukowitz, and I am caffeinated and actually awake for this podcast. And today we got Nolan O'Hara, formerly of the Pioneer Press and SI and Bring Me the News, was on the Wolves beat for a few years here, now on to bigger, better things. But Nolan, how's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. Appreciate you having me on. I get to take the title here now as like the least recognizable name on the podcast. So feeling good about it, but it should be fun. Fun to be able
I
to,
don't know. We're gonna have some
sit back.
pretty less recognizable names. At least, like, if people Google you, a bunch of articles will pop up, and not like,
There is that.
you
There
you have a footprint on the internet forever.
I guess so. Yeah, I guess you can't ever erase it. But yeah, no, but it's good. I appreciate you having me on, and it's fun to be able to kind of sit back here and just kind of enjoy as a fan and dip toes back in a little bit.
Yeah, I will say Nolan last year on the Wolves beat, one of the hardest working guys ever. I mean, he would write a article for SI off of the hype video, then he would write an article on for SI after the first quarter, and another one if there was a fight in the second quarter, and then he would write another article midway through the third quarter and a post game article. And I don't know how you did it, man. So kudos to you. I'm glad you get to be a fan now.
Well, you're sitting there the whole time hoping that you don't break out in a fight like the Pistons game, but sometimes that happens, and you gotta act quick there. But
Well, no fights in this game, no ejections, no one get tossed. The only technical was Bones Highland waving off the ref, which was interesting. But I feel like kind of the big topic of this one is Mike Conley comes back from that Achilles tendonitis, and I will die on the hill that they probably don't win this game if Mike Conley doesn't play the 20 something minutes he played. I mean, what were your thoughts on Mike tonight?
I thought Mike played really well. I was a little curious seeing that first Bones come in before him. I was a little surprised at that, and then that run in the third quarter. I took a few notes, and I was when they went on that 20-0 run, and it was Mike, Nas, and Rudy to me who really kind of drove that run. And Mike hits a couple threes. I know he struggled with the shot a little bit. Nice to see that he's able to come back and knock some down right away after
Mhm.
the injury. And I thought he played really well. And he's kind of that guy who he can step in and really make plays when you need him to. He's that calm hand that they don't really have without a true point guard, and I thought he was fantastic tonight. Really was a driver of that run, doing a little bit of everything too. So some assists, some rebounds, and then knocking down the threes too. He was great.
Yeah, Mike Conley's third quarter net rating is plus 119.8. For people who don't know, normally they're around like plus 5 to 10. Big Mike, third quarter. I mean, I would piggyback on that, just saying, uh, Mike, after the game, we asked him just kind of like what this new role is like. And he's like, well, tonight I thought I was going to play 8 minutes. So I think he was expecting to be the guy that comes in for like a 4 minute spell in the third and maybe 4 minutes in the second. But Finch kind of has to just see what can work. I mean, he played 10 guys in the first 15 minutes of this game. And I think Mike probably played the best out of those first 15 minutes, and that's why he ended up playing longer. I do want to ask you though, because you know, Rob arguably had his best game of the season against Oklahoma City, didn't score any points, but got a block, 6 rebounds, was really active on defense. What are your thoughts on kind of the Rob Dillingham part of it, where obviously Rob's not going to play if Mike's getting 20 minutes?
Yeah, that was kind of interesting. I caught a little bit of Finch's presser, what they show on TV, and how he said they might be tightening up the rotation, and making it a little bit shorter coming up here. And he was even saying, like Mike not getting so many minutes, he thinks that might be kind of the shot struggles too. So that seems to be an indication that he's probably going to lean that way. I think it's one of those things I think is tough. It's Rob. You do want to see him develop, and you want to see him get some minutes too. But I think as of like right now, this is a team that in theory you're thinking is going to be able to contend. And right now, who's going to be that more reliable player? Who's going to be the one you want taking those shots? I think it's Mike. He's still, I would say, probably a better defensive option, even though he's a little slower than he used to be. Um, I think it's just tough where Rob kind of is that player who doesn't really, because you have Bones too, who's almost the exact same player and just has a few years and is a little more polished than Rob too. So I think it's just kind of tough where he falls into that, like, don't really know exactly what to do with him. But I think he'll still get his opportunities. I just think when it comes down to it, you look at playoff rotation, right? I think you're probably going
Yeah.
to see a lot more Mike minutes than you're going to see Rob minutes.
I mean, that's just the reality of having a 20-year-old point guard that's still trying to figure it out. I mean, you're right. Mike's going to get the minutes. Like Mike might be slower. Mike might not be shooting as well. He might not be able to hit the floater anymore, but he doesn't make mistakes. I mean, the guy plays 23 minutes and doesn't have a turnover despite being a big creator in the second half. I just, it's hard for me to see how Rob breaks into the rotation if Mike is still like alive, to be honest. And now it's Bones, because Bones, I think, gave them really good juice, really good minutes too, despite, you know, he didn't shoot particularly the best, 3 of 7, 9 points. But yeah, it kind of seems like Rob is going to end up being the odd guy out. The other guy that kind of seems like he might be the odd guy out is Jalen Clark at this point. It's kind of the second straight game where he hasn't gotten a ton of minutes. And tonight, when Jaden McDaniels go down, I think everyone thinks it's going to be Jalen Clark that's kind of leaned on, but he finishes with 6 minutes, didn't take a shot, got 2 fouls, and then we didn't see him again.
Yeah, I think it's like this kind of was a TJ game there for sure.
Yeah.
But I think Jalen Clark is probably more situational where you're like, against like OKC's, you're probably going to play him a little bit more just because of what he can do defensively one-on-one against a guy like Shea or some other guys too. So I think there's probably like situations where you're going to throw him in, and still for Rob too. But it's just you got kind of have a logjam because you're playing Dante at point guard, then you got Mike, and then you got Bones. And Bones kind of is like similar player, just got the few years with but he hasn't really had a shot to play like extensive minutes either, and it seems like he's kind of getting more and more of an opportunity. So like I don't think like Rob is done by any means. It's just probably going to take a few years. He's 19 when he got drafted. It just takes some time. I know fans can get frustrated with it, but I think Rob will be a piece for this team. I just think it's probably not going to be that he's a big piece this year.
I completely agree with you. Like the like conspiracy theorist in me is like, oh, Rob had an awesome game against Oklahoma City. Don't let him see the court again until after the trade deadline. But again, that's the conspiracy theorist in me of like, that's how you get his trade value up, is like, look, 6-foot guard, they got 6 rebounds. Like, man, that guy got some juice. But I doubt that's how the Wolves are actually handling this situation. I think you're right. Like, at the end of the day, is Bones going to be long for the Timberwolves? Like, are they going to sign him to a 5-year contract? Probably not. So if Bones is a good kind of bridge this season to get you from Mike Conley to Rob, well, kind of continually developing him, it makes sense. Cole brings up in the chat here, he doesn't agree with us. Look at Reed Shepherd's situation matters. Finch is not a good coach for rookies. It's just different. Like, I think I'm gonna phrase it this way. I think Kentucky did a disservice to both of those guys, because Reed Shepherd was objectively not very good his rookie season. But Reed Shepherd like didn't play for Donda, didn't play for, what was it, the elite team, didn't, like, in high school they actually ran an offense with Reed Shepherd. Like, Rob, I think, has really been kind of done a disservice his entire basketball life of just like, here's the ball, go cook. Even at Kentucky, they didn't run an offense when Rob was in. They put him in off the bench and were just like, here's the ball, go cook. And like, that's hard to break. I don't like, I know Finch gets kind of that knock for, not playing the rookies and all of that stuff, but also like, if Rob was playing 20 minutes a night, that probably means TJ and Jalen are getting 0. So I think he's just giving guys opportunities. I don't know, Nolan, what do you think on that situation of just like, one, Reed Shepherd is playing really good this season, and some point guards do take off right away. But I just feel like Rob deserves a little bit of like, hey, he's been given a tough hand.
No, I definitely agree with you, and that's kind of clear. Like what he's good at, he's super quick. He's got a good handle. He can score. Like that's clear, but his shot mechanics are a little wonky. And it is kind of like
Wonky's
you're
a nice
saying.
way of putting it.
it's
Every
a
once in
it's
a
a
while, someone will come on Twitter after I post a video of him and they'll be like, "Is he shooting a medicine ball?" And I'm like, "Oh God, Rob, I'm sorry."
yeah. So it's like his shot mechanics are a little wonky, and it's like you said, it's kind of clear he's played this. Give him the ball, let him go cook, and that's just not the way it's going to work here. I mean, you're not going to have him trying to have dominate the ball over Ant or Julius. He needs to
Yeah,
learn how to play more of a true point guard, and they're going to want his scoring for sure. But he's just going to need to be able to pick his spots and be able to do the other point guard duties, which I think right now he's probably not super well equipped to do. But working with the coaching staff again, he's 20 years old, right? 20.
yeah,
I mean, it's not the time is not running out on Rob by any stretch of the imagination. This is going to take time for him to actually be in this more organized environment. Learn Finch's offense, learn from Mike. I mean, he's got the best mentor in the world in Mike Conley to learn how to play, be that true point guard. And then also just bring his skill set into it. So, I think these things like Finch won't play any of them, or he's bad at developing players. Like he's not really bad at developing players. A lot of these guys are not like Nas is 25, right?
yeah,
26, Jaden's
yep.
25, 26. These guys have developed under him. Ant has developed under him, and he's become a much better basketball player than he was, before Finch got here. Or I guess I think Finch has been here the whole time. Ant has, but you know, he's
We
developed
had
these
that.
guys.
We had that 4 months of Ryan Saunders. That was a good time.
Yeah, there was that. There was that. Yeah, but but the point being is like Ant has developed into a really great player, and he's gotten better and better every year. And he's having his best season to this point in the season, of his career, and he's done that every single year. He's gotten better and better. So this idea that Finch can't develop these guys, I don't think is really a good take. I think it's just some guys are going to take time, and he is hesitant to play them early, but when they
Yeah,
earn it, he'll play them.
and that's the thing that's like hard to like translate, like from where we sit, like where I get to go and like watch the last 15 minutes of practice. I go to every single one of them, and most of the time while I'm still sitting there, the scout, like the coach scout team and the end of the bench guys start to do their like scrimmage and drill work and stuff, and it's like Rob's not looking great at that either. And like until he can start to look good in the behind the scenes stuff, it's going to be really hard for him to build that trust. And it's like when he's not looking good and like Pablo Prigione's guarding him, like that's not ideal. Um, but I'm sure there are things that he is doing. Like his defense has been honestly good this year. Like he's leading the team in steals per 36. I know that's kind of an inflated stat. Like Allen Iverson was not an all-world defender despite leading the league in steals. But like Rob's like in the right spot. He tries really hard. He full court presses. Like I do think there are things that he does that are like going to win Finch over eventually. It's just until he can stop turning the ball over constantly and until he like looks comfortable taking a shot, it's probably not going to happen. But let's talk a little bit about TJ here, because I do think TJ deserves a little bit of praise. Had a really good game against Golden State a week and a half ago, plays 30 minutes in it. We don't really see him for like a week and a half since that until tonight. And tonight he looked great. I mean, he hits the 3 threes in the second half, but more importantly, like his defense wasn't awful, which is a big sign of improvement for him. I mean, how did you feel TJ looked tonight?
I thought he played really well. I mean, he's a fun player. I really enjoy watching him. He's just so fast the way he moves up and down the court. And the offense is never going to be the worry with him. Like he's a good scorer. He can out transition. He can knock down threes. The issue with him is going to be the defensive side of it, and played pretty well tonight. And I think if he can string those kind of good defensive games together, similar to what you're saying with Rob, like where he's gotten a lot better from where he was last year
Yeah.
defensively, and now he's in the right spots. He's getting steals. As long as TJ can kind of string together some of these good defensive games, and he's shown flashes of it, like in the playoffs last year, he had some
Mhm.
games where he looked pretty good on that side of the ball. I think it's the same thing. That's I think really where players earn Finch's trust is on the defensive side of the ball. Like Jalen Clark kind of came in and played one game, and then boom, he was in the rotation last year when they were dealing with injuries. But that's
Yep.
because he was doing everything on the defensive side of the ball. So assuming TJ can kind of keep up doing that, I mean, there's a lot he's going to play this year, no matter what.
Yeah.
They need that offense off the bench, but I think if he can kind of stack these games, and tonight was a really good all-around game from him.
TJ is also especially charming because he hates talking to the media. Like tonight, we got him in the media tonight, and it was just like me, Chris Hines, and like a camera around him because everyone else was talking to Rudy. And like before we came over there, he's just like, Free, did you hear that? Where they said they didn't need to talk to me anymore. Can I go home now? And like when we requested him,
sure.
he's just like, I don't want to do this. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry.
But he's a good quote and everything too. So I think he's got to embrace it. And the more he's getting requested, that just means he's doing more good things in the court. So
exactly. I will say
one of these days he's going to have to embrace it because it's just going to be more and more,
Well, and not that like Finch dislikes anyone on the team. Like I really do think Finch likes all of his players. They wouldn't be here if he didn't like them. But like I do think Finch has a soft spot for TJ of just like that guy pushes the pace. He can hit open shots. He like actually cuts like Jalen Clark does, but TJ is usually a little better at like making the shot after the cut. Mm-hmm. Like I do think you're right. He's going to be in the rotation.
That transition piece too, because how many times over the last couple of years have we heard Finch talk about like, what do we need more of? Transition, more points in transition, because they've been just a bad transition team. And I mean, with Cat, it makes sense. You got 2 7-footers out there. You're not going to be a good transition team. But then, Julius pushes the pace a little bit more. They're still not a very good transition team last year. And TJ is a transition machine. Like he's just fast. He can finish. He can get out there. He can pass. He can do it all in that respect. So I think that is another thing that'll probably earn him some minutes here too down the line.
It is interesting that for 3 years, almost every post-game press conference kind of feels the same of like, hey, why didn't you guys put away the bad team in the first half? Hey, why aren't these guys playing faster? And then like what changed in the third or fourth quarter that led you guys to win? I mean, I'll just kind of ask you, like, what do you make of this? Like, it's literally just Groundhog's Day at this point. Like every game, you can kind of tell how it's going to go just by like the opponent's record and injury report.
Yeah, it was like as soon as I saw Giannis was out, it was like, oh, this is going to be. And then Jaden missed that first 3, and then it was like, okay, this is going to be one of those games because then like they had the first few offensive possessions. I thought they had some pretty good looks, but then it was like an Ant threw up a 3, and it was like, okay, it's going to be one of these games where he just kind of steps back and shoots 3s all game and doesn't go to the rim, and then everybody else gets frustrated when they're not foulling. It's like if they're falling, it's great, and then everything's all good. But as soon as that happens, then it's like they get frustrated, they dig themselves a hole, and then it's the third quarter. They're like, all right, we got to start taking this game seriously now, and they play good, and they play good offense, and that's what they did in the third quarter. But yeah, it does. It seems like that every single year, every single game against these bad teams, it's kind of the same thing over and over and over again, where they start terrible, they dig a hole. They eventually get themselves back, or they don't, and then it's like one of the worst losses of the year.
Yep.
But I think it's tough. I mean, it's like I don't know what you do about it. At a certain point, you just got to start. Like these are still NBA teams. You still got to play who's on the schedule. You still got to take them seriously. It'd be a lot nicer if you take care of business and you're up 20 going into the fourth quarter, and then you can start resting guys than having to play Rudy 39 minutes or whatever it was tonight.
Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert
minutes.
In the first half, by the way, received 2 passes according to Next Gen Stats. Could you imagine playing 16 minutes of basketball and getting past it twice? Like, I don't know how he stays in. I'm too petty to be a professional anything, really. I mean, I couldn't imagine being a professional basketball player and getting the ball passed to me twice in 16 minutes. I would just be pissed. I would check out immediately.
And that's another one of the Groundhog's Day problems, is not getting the ball to Rudy, is it happen. That's over and over. Like just hesitation to throw it to Rudy for, I mean, we know the reason, but It's like you got to do it. You got to get the ball to Rudy because I mean, last year there was a good stretch of games last year where they kept getting the ball to Rudy in the pocket, and it was one of those. You know how Rudy every so often all of a sudden just looks like Jokic, like he's throwing passes.
Yep.
He hits the fadeaway jumper in the playoffs, and it's like, what is this? Like, why is this not all the time? But sometimes like a lot of good things happen when they get the ball to Rudy in the
Yeah.
pocket and they get it to him in the paint, and the hesitation to do it. It's like then it's not a threat, and teams don't need to guard it, and they're chucking up shots and they shoot like they did tonight. So they do need to do a better job of getting him the ball. But yeah, another one of those Groundhog's Day kind of things you're talking about.
I mean, it's just I'm going to throw us over to a break here before we get into the Julius Randle of it all, because Cole asked a question about Julius or made a statement. We're going to turn it into a question, but like it is kind of wild that like Rudy has been a much better passer this season. He is finishing. I think his like field goal percentage was a career high before the Oklahoma City game. I haven't checked it since then, so maybe that's changed. But like he is doing everything better offensively. And they just still ignore him for like 9 consecutive minutes. And it's like, no, you gotta like actually, you have to pass it to him. Like everything gets better when you just pass it to him, because then like Miles Turner isn't doubling Ant the second he touches the ball.
Right. Yeah, because that's the thing is if if nobody's looking his way, then there's no you can just blitz all the time. You could send him at Ant every time he goes to the rim, and then you're shooting over 2 guys.
It's wild. All right, I'm going to throw us to a couple ad reads. We'll talk about some Julius after that, though. If anyone else has any chat questions, anything you want to talk about, always more than willing. But first ads. Well, hello. Thank you, Livestream Andrew. This is Ad Read Andrew. And today we have Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, the presenting sponsor for the Missing Links podcast. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling strives to inspire people to follow their ideas, working with respect and understanding to create a quality, tailored result. Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, located in Blaine and serving in the North Metro area, is here to help you with your building and remodeling needs. I can say personally, thanks to Firehawk Construction and Remodeling, I have a beautiful deck in my backyard, and countless projects that I started, they finished. Get started on your new deck or remodel today by calling Isaac at 763-710-5686. And we're back with another ad read. This time for Pence Homes, the presenting sponsor of Hitting the Hardwood Network. From the best tools and technology to transparency throughout the entire process, Nate Pence and the Pence Homes team is the top choice for buyers, sellers, and is proud to support you and your home ownership goals. Get started today by calling 612-308-1122 or by emailing info@pencehomes.com. Shout out Firehawk and Pence Homes. Let's talk Julius, not Rudy. Sorry, I was reading comments about Rudy being cracked by Ant post game. I left out the funniest spots. If you can find someone who has the video of Ant screaming other things, it might be out on the internet, but I'm not going to get someone fined, as everybody knows. Cole asks, or states, Ant feeds off of energy. Randle is supposed to alleviate pressure for Ant, but has literally been making it worse. I just kind of want to know your feeling on that, because I do think there is some things that Randle does. I mean, we mentioned pace, right? Like Randle is not a fast basketball player, like not like straight line speed wise, but like his pace is always low. Like it does seem like the Julius possessions sometimes can be really good, other times can feel really plodding. But like, what is your thought on Julius, quote unquote, like making Ant better?
Yeah, I think we kind of saw in the 2 halves this time. Julius didn't score in the second half. I think all 12 of his points were in the first half. It was pretty quiet. I don't know. I think it's one of those pairings that it gets clunky for sure, because Julius is a slow player, but he also creates so much space and opens the floor for threes. Like Ant last year, haven't like starting the year on like the 3-point. I mean, he finished the year with the most threes even made, and that's because Julius takes up so much draws so much gravity in the paint. It's clunky, but I think it's just still kind of beginning of the year figuring it out. I don't know. I don't really have a good answer for it. Like I think it can work. Like I think we saw towards the end of last year and into the playoffs, like that's a pairing that can work. And I think Julius is kind of the closest thing you have to a point guard in that starting lineup right now. And without him, it's gonna be tough too. But I don't know. It still doesn't seem like the most natural fit either. What are your thoughts on it?
I agree with you. Like, I don't feel like it's the most. I mean, you said it. It's not the most natural fit. Like, I think Julius ideally is probably a primary option on like a bad team, which sounds really dismissive and rude, but like the way Julius operates in the post, I think is a lot more similar to like how Cam Thomas plays for Brooklyn, where it's just like get the ball to that guy, let him dribble it for 20 seconds until he makes a decision, and then it is what it is. Like I think that's Julius's like built-in hardwired style. And I think Julius is embracing like Finch's vision and embracing his teammates, and he's done a great job of like breaking out of that style. But when Julius is having an off game, or the ball starts getting sticky, or he doesn't think that it's going to like get rotated back around to him, I think he goes back to those like old habits, and then we see it be really rough, which again, like, not saying like it can't work. We've seen it work, but I think when things start going wrong, whether it's ball sticking, not getting officiating calls, shots not falling, I think he reverts back to that, you know, the what he needed to be in LA, what he needed to be in New York, the guy that's scoring 35 and is the hero. And the team just doesn't need him to do that. They literally are just asking him to score 18, get 8 rebounds, and have 8 assists. And that's probably the best version of Julius on this team. I don't know. It's weird because I do think it could work by the end of the season again. Like after, you have all of that trust built back up and you have your full rotation set and all of that, but he just has such a weird play style to put next to like a James Harden type player.
Right. It is. It's like it's also too. Some of his those ISO possessions he has are just the most frustrating. Like sometimes he'll lose the ball. It'll just like you're saying when it gets sticky, it can just be so frustrating. But also at the same time, it's like then there are other times where he's the one guy who can go and get you a bucket when you need it too, and then that's super valuable because like even Cat wasn't really that like go to
No,
the rim, just muscle your way in, go get a bucket when you need to stop a drought. And Julius has that ability to do that, and that is also really valuable, and that's saved the Wolves a lot too. And but I do think like yeah, when he has those games where he's doing 18, 8, and 8, like that's a great Julius game, and usually those are their best games as a team too. So it's like kind of finding that balance of when he can play that all around game and then still be the guy who goes and can get you a bucket when you need to, but not doing that just out of frustration when shots aren't falling, or like you're just having a rough game. And so now I'm just going to just dribble it around in the paint for 20 seconds and try to make something happen, and then lose the ball. It's just a
mm-hmm.
tough way to balance it. But I think generally, like this year, Julius has done a pretty good job of balancing. It's just trying to get it all to click, and we've seen it with the Wolves the last few years too. It's like they're kind of a team that heats up in January, and then
Yeah.
they, they kind of go through the
And then
first
they're
months
off.
of the year. I mean, they're like realistically, they're kind of off to a better start than the usual here. Like they're, they're well above 500. They're not just hovering around 500. And so now they won't probably need to rattle off like 15 wins in a row. But it would be great if they did though. But I think that, they're just kind of a team that just slow starters for whatever reason.
I'm laughing because that's what I've been thinking in the back of my mind the entire season. It's just like if they have their normal January kick it in gear, like this team's going to be winning every game by 40 just because like they are so far ahead from, Randall not throwing the ball to Rudy and like almost getting in a fight that they were in last year. Like if they do what they normally do, this team's going to be the 2 seed. If this is just the team, they're probably going to be the 4 or 5 seed. And like, that's still better than they were last year. I don't know. I'd like to get your thought on Randall. Like, I'm going to preface this by saying, like, I think everyone in the locker room really likes Randall. I think he gets along with people. He obviously wants to be here. Like, I think he probably could have gotten 32 million from any team in the NBA that was willing to pay him that. Like, I think there is like a genuine, he likes being here. The goosebumps thing, like that, he actually thinks that's like pretty hilarious that like an internet meme is turned into a nickname for him. Like, but do you feel like he's going to be like a long-term piece for this team? Because the fit stuff does concern me at times.
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, the contract would say he's here for, the next 3, I believe 3 years, right?
2 + 1. Yep.
2 + 1. Yeah. So that's what the contract would say. I mean, there is the point guard question and, who's on the market. So whether they decide to do that and try to go after a point guard. I don't know. I would be hesitant. I'm always hesitant to blow things up, especially midway through the year, right? Because it's like you can go trade for, the name out there's LaMelo Ball, right? Or I guess now James Harden too is out there.
Mm-hmm.
Those are kind of the names out there. It's like you could do that, but then you got to redo the chemistry thing all over. And so then it's like you're starting at the beginning of a typical Wolves season of how long does it take to figure out the chemistry with new pieces. I don't think I would do anything this year. I mean, but it is like, what is going to be taking them to the next step? And they do, like, the point guard thing will be a need if you don't have, like, I don't think Rob is going to be an immediate step in, score 20 points a game kind of guy. It's like, it would be great if he was, and that's the piece that gets you over the top. But I don't really see that happening like next year. So if they feel like they need to go out and get a point guard, Julius is the piece you have that you can move. I mean, you could move Nas too, but it feels like the core of this team is Nas, Ant, and Jaden, and that's the 3 that are going to stick around. And if you need to go add a point guard to that, he seems like the piece that would move. But I think you let it play out this year, see how far you get, see if you can give OKC a better run, because they're obviously the front runners again this year. And if you bow out earlier, if you bow out at the same time, if it's clear you're just not going to be able to get through that team, then you got to try to make some changes to be able to beat them. But I think now you just kind of let it see how it goes the rest of this year, now that they have some chemistry. I mean, like you said, we're off to a much better start than we were last year. They have some chemistry, and it's just kind of figuring out the pieces of the young guys, really, with Nikhil gone and working them in and how they fit in and how Mike fits into this new role off the bench with Dante in the starting lineup. And figuring out all that goes. The starting lineups played pretty well for the most part. And build the rest of the chemistry and see how far it goes when you actually start clicking in January. And who knows? But I think you wait till the end of the year to start looking at anything like that.
Again, people who listen to the show know that that's my position on it. I mean, if they wait until after they make their first round selection, they can trade the 2033 first round, they can do the 2032 pick swap, and they can trade whoever they pick this year. It just makes more sense to wait until the off season. They'll be under the first apron and just hard capped. Like everything's easier if you wait until July. I just wonder, part of the genius of Tim Conley, in my opinion, at least, is like, Rudy plus, Dante gets you to 48 million or so. Julius plus Dante gets you to 54. Like they have set this roster up to be able to take a big swing, and like, who knows who that's going to be. Like, I don't think Giannis is going to get traded in the middle of the season. Like, the Bucks can get more in the off season. I don't think Giannis is like sabotaging the team culture. Like, Theonis looked like he was super involved. I imagine Theonis is part of the Giannis trade. Like, it just makes more sense to do it this off season. I do wonder though this year, like what move could they make that would help a little? And I'll preface it by just saying I think Chris Finch brought up Kyle Anderson like 3 times at the Head Flyer event last year. Like, what do you think their need is this year?
Well, Finch loves Kyle Anderson, that's for
He
sure.
does.
Like, I
He
feel like
brings
he's
him up
never
like
loved a
weekly.
player. I feel like he's never loved a player more than Kyle Anderson. Just for whatever reason, slow mo. That's his guy. I mean, he does. I mean, obviously, slow mo does a lot of things really well. Plays the game just really sound. But I don't know because it's like you go the missing piece to the team is a starting caliber point guard, right? And it's
Right.
like, what's a small? You could go trade for like a backup point guard. Like a couple years ago, they brought in Monte Morris, and you could bring in like a Tyus Jones. But like, is that really a big upgrade over Mike coming off the bench? Like, probably not. So I think it's kind of like the move you make is feel like if you feel like LaMelo Ball, there's a deal, if there's a starting point guard out there that you really like, you feel like fits in really well with the team, and there's a chance at it, like, and you don't think it's going to come around again, I guess you make that move. If you think that's what the team needs. I mean, I'm not Tim Conley, so I don't have to make any decisions. But the point guard thing seems like the biggest. I don't really know what else. It doesn't feel like there's really a need anywhere else, right? It's like you got your big set with Nas and Rudy, and you got your rookie who could potentially be something. Only 7 years pro basketball or playing
Yeah.
basketball, and you
He's
never know. He
been
looks like
okay in Iowa. Like,
yeah, and it's like he could probably work his way up at some point. Probably not this year, but I don't know. I don't really know what else you need besides a point guard, and
yeah,
I don't think a
I
backup caliber point guard makes any difference.
I am now I'm head first in the Kyle Anderson conspiracy. There's no way Utah doesn't buy him out. He's making I think he's making under 14 million. So the Wolves will be able to sign him, even though they're first apron locked. And there's some weird MLE exception rules with the first apron, but I think they are able to sign him. I think Kyle Anderson is just going to get picked up in January, and that's their move. Like, I completely agree with you on the point guard side. I don't think like Tyus, does he get you that much better? Like if you go out and trade for Kobe White, you're giving up Dante and like Rob, and then like your bench is worse and you lose the shooting of Dante. Like Trey Jones, I see out there a lot. Like again, like does Trey Jones to match his salary and trade for him, you're probably losing like TJ and Rob or Clark and Rob, and then your bench is worse, but you have a slightly better like backup point guard option. To me, the move outside of Kyle Anderson, like maybe a backup center that just is more like the yin to Rudy's yang of like bringing in a Jock Landale from Memphis if they're willing to part with him as they sell off pieces, try and get like Brooke Lopez from the Clippers to come in and just be like a guy that can stretch a little bit more. But that's like a situational big. Like I don't think you're going to have to give up a ton to get like a big that'll play every third game. And I don't think that's probably something they need to go out and hunt. But yeah, I'm kind of like you. It just, there's nothing really out there that I think like giving up what they would have to give up now versus the off season. And then what is that team afterwards when like if you go and trade for LaMelo Ball, like LaMelo Ball has to learn with Rudy, and you've covered the team for years. I've been here for a couple of years. Like we know how that goes. It takes a year for a player to learn how to play with Rudy.
It does. It takes time. And yeah, so like that's the thing is where like that's the move you make is probably going out getting like a really good starting caliber point guard if you're making a big move, right? Because like like you said too, it's like what other point guard does it really beat? I mean, you have to like how much better does it make you than the Bones Rob Mike combo is essentially what you're looking for. Something that makes you substantially better than playing some combination of those three guys. And there's not that many names out there that do it. And so like that's kind of what you need to bring in. And then it's other things like Kyle Anderson. Could you bring him back? I mean, I wouldn't
Be
be.
fun.
I would not be shocked by that at all. Then the young guys, defenders or cheerleaders from the Wolves fans will not be happy because
Because then
TJ minutes
Jalen
are
Clark and
gone.
TJ are
Yeah.
not playing at all.
Then it is
It's going to be
Kyle
Kyle
Anderson time.
Anderson, Naz
Um,
Reid, and Mike Conley off the
that's
bench.
the bench. Yeah. So I could see that. But yeah, I don't really know. I don't know. I wouldn't envision any big moves happening here before the end of the year. But Tim Conley's taken some big swings before. I didn't expect that cat trade either.
Mhm.
So you never know. But yeah,
That's the flip
I don't
side of
see
it.
anything that just gets you better. But Tim might. So
That's the flip side of it. I mean, truly, like every trade has kind of come out of. I think the only one that hasn't was the D'Lo one. I think everybody kind of knew he was on his way out, but then he gets Mike, Nikhil, and 3 second-round picks, and it's like, whoa, that's way more than just buying him out. So, I mean, who knows what Tim has cooking. Nolan, thanks for coming on, though, man. I do want to give you a shout out, and if where can people follow you in case you do get back into the media world and start churning out those articles like crazy again? Do you even want people to follow you anymore? The floor is yours. If you don't want people to follow you, you can just, again, the floor is yours. Shout out a good charity people should donate to.
oh, that's a lot of pressure now. And I gotta think there's a ton out there. You can do your research. There's so many good places around here. But I got a Twitter. I logged into it tonight probably for the first time in a few months and saw you tagged me in a couple tweets here as we're gearing up for this. But people can go ahead and follow that if they want. But I'm not too active or anything. I retweeted that I'll be coming on here. That's my first tweet since like March. So you're not going to get a lot out of that, but you're more than welcome to tag along in case Andrew ever tags me in another podcast here. But I appreciate you having me on. It's been fun.
Hey, man, always a pleasure. We've spent way too much time talking last year to not get you on the pod at least once. Hopefully we do it again in the future. For anyone that's in here that showed up a little late, this does get posted as a podcast that publishes tomorrow. So that would be the 22nd, Monday at 7 a.m. As soon as we end here, it does get published on YouTube and it lives on forever on X as well. If you can't wait until tomorrow, you can rewatch it at those places. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We will be back with Nolan's best friend, Nadine Babo, after the New York Knicks game. So she will be irritated that she was not able to join us for this one, but we'll be back after the Knicks game, hopefully after another win. I mean, you can't rule that out with this Wolves team that they go out and just put another really good team kind of in the dirt.
Definitely.